One.
Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour on this fabulous January 29th, 2021. I'm your host, Andrew Barnes, here with some awesome people, and we're going to do some Quebec stuff today. So let's start with our intros. Chuck, let the people know who you are.
Hi, I'm Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate at ServiceNow. Been here for about 10 and a half years. I was a customer before that for a couple of years, and IT and developing experience back to the early 80s. So I am here to learn and have fun. I am the designated driver and button masher. So if anything goes wrong with the video, you're going to have to tell Brad and he'll tell me because I can't keep an eye on everything at once. I should have a badge that says trainee right here, right here.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Chuck. And Philip.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm Phil Swann. I'm a principal technical consultant at Rangoon. Been working with ServiceNow for about 6 years, and really excited to see what's happening in Quebec with Flow Designer tonight. So thanks for having me.
He's got the wood shop going on back there. Look at that. That is awesome background. Is that a virtual background or a real background?
I wish it was real. No, it's a virtual one. Yeah. From Chelsea Flower Show in 2019, I think.
Nice. And our other guest, Dhruv.
Hi everyone, my name is Dhruv and I'm currently working as a senior infra developer at Cognizant. So my role is like helping clients get on board with utilities of ServiceNow. And as Philip mentioned, even I'm very excited to see what we have in Quebec.
Awesome. And I'm Andrew Barnes, developer advocate here at ServiceNow. I've been doing this role for almost 2.5 years now. I've been on the platform for over 6 years as a customer a couple of times, an implementation partner, and now I'm in the platform business unit here at ServiceNow. And I just love building on the platform. Like, it's my favorite thing to do is build stuff on the platform. So when I have a choice, I build it on the ServiceNow platform, and that's why I'm here. So, Chuck, you said you're learning the ropes of running the back end of the show today. So you're driving our designated driver today. So you've got some lovely
water only. No more for me, thanks. I'm driving. You don't want to put a trainee in charge. I mean, give alcohol to a trainee. I've learned through 15 or so years of podcasting, that's just a bad idea.
Well, it depends on what you want the outcome to be.
No audio.
Entertainment could be the goal. And around the horn, the same order, Phil?
Yeah, I've got a Guinness West Indies. Is that not going to show up?
Yeah, put it over your face.
Over your face. Oh, okay. It's a weird effect.
There you go.
It's a Guinness West Indies Porter. So that's coming in at about 6%, I think. Yeah, 6%.
Oh, I don't think I've had one of those.
Very nice. Wish me luck.
Nice. Next.
So it's like 3 a.m. for me. So it's like too late for a beer and too early for a coffee. So even I'll prefer the hot water directly from the kitchen.
Nice. Well, it is prime drinking time here on the East Coast in the U.S. So I'm going to have this jalapeno pale ale from Birdsong Brewing Company. I've not had one of these, so I'm pretty excited to try it out. I like jalapenos. I like beer. Let's see if they mix well.
I missed it. Philip, where are you from?
Near London. I'm in the United Kingdom, so about 30 miles north of London.
So it's pretty late. Not too bad.
Well,
No,
not
it's 9:30, so normally I'm tuned in anyway. So
not nearly as late as IDC is.
Not nearly.
Not nearly as late.
But thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. So it is early access period right now with ServiceNow. So we last week we moved into early access for the Quebec release, and so I have changed my background to Quebec, though I am wearing a pair of shirt because we don't have any Quebec shirts yet, but I'm wearing my family release shirt. And this week, I released a blog about some of the changes in Flow Designer, and we're going to look at Flow Designer today. We might accidentally hit on some other things like Integration Hub just by accident because we'll be in Flow Designer. So I'm excited to show that. If you didn't catch it, which is probably unlikely at this point, last week's episode was on UI Builder, which has gotten a huge overhaul in Quebec. And that was a really fun episode that Brad showed us how to make a new page for use with our artifact manager. But today we're going to take a look at Flow Designer. Is there any, before we drop into the screen share, did we release a podcast this week or is it next week, Chuck? I think it's next week.
I've got you and I talking about Quebec next week.
We do. That was a lot of fun.
February 3rd. And I've got the next one scheduled up, topic decided. So the pipeline is looking good right now.
I really enjoyed your discussions with two of some of my favorite ServiceNow developers, Paige Duffy and Maria Gabriella. So you had those earlier in January, and those were really good episodes.
Those are fun. Yes. Wonderful women to talk to, and always open for more discussions coming down the pipe.
Yeah. Anything that you find, gentlemen, would like to share? Like, tell us something interesting. Like, what's the coolest thing you built on the platform?
Well, I was trying to convert the whole of GRC to Flow Designer. Tried to do that in 24 hours and got about 12 hours through and figured that I'd learned enough, and I've shared that on my channel. So yeah, really good learning. And I've done that from kind of through Orlando, Paris, and then the kind of finale, not so grand finale, was in Quebec the other day, and it's all still working, all still hanging together. But yeah, lots of new features. So really excited about the flow variables. Let's see how that works out.
And I've been developing one app that takes on the security part of the ecosystem, basically Active Directory attacks. So managing those things through ServiceNow in an automated fashion. So,
nice.
Very well.
That sounds cool. Well, let me start my screen share and we'll get rolling with what we're going to do today.
So let's see if I can do that. Woohoo!
So the first thing that I was going to do actually was go to a different instance, because the first thing I wanted to show was in Flow Designer, when you first launch it now in Quebec as a user, you're going to get a helpful little tour. Sorry, I meant to have this screen prepped, but I accidentally closed it. So sad me. And let's new flow.
You know what? I'm going to give up. I'm trying to find out where you put that little tag in the corner that says UI Builder.
Did I not?
I'm seeing flow properties.
Apparently, I didn't,
Is something?
I already loaded it here. So I'm gonna have to switch to a new user. Let's go to our user table. Apparently I already got the tour on this account. So let's give, do I have a user in my impersonate list? No. Okay. So Greg here is going to get some permissions real quick so we can see the screen. Come on, Greg. Let's get some permissions for Greg. Do. Greg apparently has a role that doesn't exist anymore. All right, so now I should be able to impersonate Greg. There we are. And fire up Flow Designer again. You can do it. All right, here we are. Yay. Now we should get the tour. Now I know I've seen the tour. Do I have to open something first?
The tour is pretty cool because your new people will see that and
Maybe
go, wow, that's
new flow. Hello there.
Did you have to set the tour up, Andrew? Was it something you set up for your instance?
Nope, it's default.
So is it something like we used to have in guided app tour? So it was managed.
There it
through some
is.
there. He's got it.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So took me a second. Here's the tour. So when they first try and create a new flow, they can take a tour of Flow Designer. And hey, it says steps me through it. So we start with a trigger. Okay, cool. We can do created or updated. Dun, dun, dun. And I'll go ahead and step it through and say next. And it says, oh, okay, we'll come down here and, add some actions. And then it's going to tell me what data pills are. Hello, data pills. Save, test, and activate. Sweet. Well, that's a short tour. And then the other thing that was added is this help. And do I need to pull in from the side a little bit, Chuck, so they can see all of that?
You're actually pretty good.
Okay.
We get out to N on the done button.
Oh, that's close enough. So when you hit this help, which is in the top right, you get all of these help topics, which help you, learn contextually here what you need right here in Flow Designer. So you don't have to go to the docs, for example, for learning how to, deal with flow logic. It's right here. So those are just some nice to haves here in Flow Designer in Quebec. And here I am I haven't upgraded that instance yet. Ha ha ha. Apparently we'll be using this instance. I thought
dev program dev and dev program are still in Paris P4.
Yeah, I forgot for some reason. But now I remember, but I can still do my development here because this is actually a clone of those instances. So that was the plan anyway. So what we're going to do today, and I'll show you a couple more Flow Designer cosmetic things now that I'm back in my regular account. I'm going to launch Flow Designer. What we're going to do today is leverage flow variables. So let's make a new flow. We're going to put it, we're going to do get hosts. We're going to put this in the artifact manager. So right here in the right, thanks. You wouldn't show me it before, but now you want to show me the tour. So let's add a trigger. So created or updated. We're going to pick our artifact table. Artifact table. Well, let me show you what we're going to do. So there are these new things called flow variables. So over here in the side in data, you can see I have a section called flow variables.
I'm going to scoot that over so we can actually see it.
Oh, sure.
There we are. Okay.
I didn't do anything.
I did.
Oh, very good. So we have flow variables. And so if you're familiar with the old workflow editor, there's the scratch pad that was available to you. So you could, put in any sort of data that you needed to persist across the whole workflow in there and manipulate it. And now that has come to Flow Designer in the form of flow variables. So one thing you might not know, even experienced flow users, the contents of any of these data pills, it matters when that was loaded. So for example, the trigger, or if I did a lookup record and I retrieve the contents, and then something else modifies those, and I try and access that data pill later on in my flow, I'm going to get what that was when that was loaded. So it is good or bad. That's how that works. And so if I need to, store something or, manipulate some data that I can leverage in later parts of a flow, flow variables are the way to do that. And so I'm going to create a flow variable so that I can store some sysids in there so that I can concatenate those together so I can put them in a watch list.
Nice.
So that's my goal here, is when I have an artifact and it's going to be a live type is live stream and the hosts are empty is when I'm going to execute this, and probably something like state is one of these early ones, like ready to work and work in progress. Yeah, that looks close enough to what I actually want. So now what I'll need to do is add one of those flow variables before I can access it. So up here in the top of the flow, so it's part of the properties of this flow, is flow variables. And you see we get this modal, and I can create as many flow variables as I need. And so I'm going to put the hosts here, and they're going to be a string, unless I have something better. Looks like string is probably what I want here for this use case, but I could make some other ones. So for example, I could do like a counter and, have that be an integer. And I could
have a reference.
I don't believe I can have a reference.
What do we have? We have
references on there.
Oh, I do have reference. So I've got JSON, true, false, string, integer, and reference.
Well, if you got JSON, you don't need anything else.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
So I could even store the artifact there, and it's a reference to the artifact table. And I might actually use that for something else. So I can set these flow variables here, and create them. And now they'll be available here. There's nothing in them, but they're there and accessible. The other thing that you can notice right off with Flow Designer here versus Flow Designer here is we've got a bit of a nice reskin. I'll even, show these a little bit side by side. Ooh. Some shading updates and, some more rounding of corners. And so a lot of that is very cosmetic. But one thing that is significantly different for me, just for ease of use is I'll show you a little bit later. When you're doing flow logic, like a for each, that's going to render quite a bit differently than it did previously. So let's maximize this and throw an action together real quick. Of this is. I know there's nothing in there yet, but we're going to pretend like there is. Greater than 3.
I like that you've got next to the properties button on top, you've got an active and an inactive flag. So it's no longer, is activate or deactivate live. You can clearly see, is this going to run or not?
So I just threw this together arbitrarily, but I wanted to show you the difference in how this. Oh, and that was a for each.
That's all right. It still shows this is underneath that thing.
So the how this is drawn is differently, and the if and if else is rendered differently. So you'll see I didn't have to under my if statement, do the logic else. So over here, I have to do flow logic if, and then drop, a condition in greater than 3. And then below that, I can add my action, ask for approval. Yeah, here we go. And then down here, we get our else. And we'll throw something else here so we can see the difference between these. And flow logic else. And then we'll add our action, create our update record.
And take a look at, not everything is a circle anymore. Like if is a diamond, which is the traditional way to show a decision block.
Yep. And so just visually to me, that this is quite a bit different because it really calls out to me, oh, there's a decision here, because as you said, Chuck, this is a diamond, whereas it's not as clear over here, what's going on there. And for some reason, I just really like the swoopy line. Like it makes me happy that
the swoopy line makes me happy.
The swoopy line makes me happy.
Do you find that the new skin has got a bit easier to put the little pluses in? When you hover and you want to add a new step in, that it feels a bit more intuitive. I don't know if it's because I'm getting more used to Flow Designer or the new skin. If there's any real difference there.
Well, yeah, it did seem easier for me to get the plus button when I'm trying for it. And there's also a little more room there between those two. This is the same zoom and resolution and everything. And there's a bit more room there for me to get to this now.
Do me a favor. See if you can put something before step 1, before action 1, before that if statement.
Yeah, you got.
No, up.
Oh, before action 1?
Before action 1.
Sure.
There is a space there?
There should be. There usually.
Oh.
No.
That's adding a stage, right? That's to organize your.
Right.
Your
There's a plus there.
There is a plus there.
There it is. I just had to go higher.
Okay. So it's still a tight fit, but you can make it in there.
Yeah, that's still a tight fit.
Are much easier. Which is interesting to me because the white space is actually reduced on the new UI.
So that's enough of the graphical compare, I think. But I do like the changes to the graphic. Like they're top notch for me. It's been easier on my eyes to look at larger flows with this. So let's get back to
some designers somewhere.
Let's get back to what we wanted to do, which is I'm going to perform a lookup. So let's go look up some records. Look up records. Oh, I need a space. Look up records. So I'm going to look up some records on the group member table. sysuser group member. And I want the group is hosts and did that not copy over? All right, well, let us go create that then. Go to our groups and we'll create a new table. I swear I had a host. I know I do, in fact, but we'll have hosts. Yeah, let's put some members in there. There's Chuck.
Not him.
Oh, nope. Get out of there. And then that troublemaker. The ABCs. All right, we've got our hosts in there. And so we should be able to go get our hosts. So I'm going to look up records in the group member table for when group is hosts.
Mm-hmm.
And now I need to loop through that. So I need some flow logic for each. And I'm going to grab my records data pill and drop it in. Ooh, actually, I almost didn't notice this like earlier. They changed the cannonball.
No more cannonball martini glass.
Cannonball martini. What did y'all call it?
Someone said Hunger Games, like it was a Mockingjay kind of thing.
What was your name for the cannonball? And if you don't remember what I'm talking about, this guy.
Yeah, Philip, Drew,
Phil?
what do you call that thing?
I always thought it was a synapse.
I love that. That's good.
Okay.
Brain surgery.
What did you call it, Dhruv?
I haven't put any name as such.
Okay. Fair enough.
Jay's called it the ball and joint.
The ball and joint. So now our data pill picker, has a different icon. It's still the data pill picker. So we're going to grab those records. And then the next step that we're going to do. So what I want to do is go get the user's email just the user. I need the user sysid, and I'm going to store that in the host flow variable. So that means flow logic, our brand new set flow variables, will give me access to modify any of the flow variables that I have set for this flow. And we want to modify the host one with some data. And we want from our ForEach, the group member records, we want to get the user's sysid. And a comma. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure.
Looks good. Yeah, you want the sysid?
So I'm building an array of sysids.
Isn't that going to overwrite it?
Oh, yes, it is. I need to actually reference itself first.
Pull the flow variable back.
Yep. So I need to put hosts in here. Come on.
And then a comma.
And then a comma. Are you not
going to
let
end up
me?
with too many commas, though?
Well, I don't need to end with a comma.
Yeah, putting it that way around might work.
So I'm going to put my mouse back over there and then not scripting, flow variables host.
So normally in scripting, you don't want to dot walk down to a sysid. That would be a bad practice because if it's a reference field, it's going to have a value of a sys-ID anyway. But in this case, if you just got, group.user, what would you get? Would you get
It
the
is a
display
string field.
value?
Do you think it strings it as it goes? Or will it push in square brackets glide
You're
object?
right. You would get an entire user object because it is a reference.
Mhm.
I
That's
think
why
it would. I think it would string it. I think it would be. I think it would grab the sys-ID. We could test it and see,
Aren't
but
you going to get a leading comma then? Because the first time through this, it's not going to have any value.
You could use your
flow variable.
counter integer. float
ooh, I
variable.
could use a counter.
You've got one there. Is it?
I've
Does it
got
have a
one.
default value when you set a flow variable? Does it have a default value?
I wish we could use a flow variable as an array. Then you could just join them.
Let's see if I don't see any like.
guess an
Normally in
integer
flow, there's like
blank
a
is
drill
0.
in if you can set.
Set a value. Oh yeah, a default.
Doesn't look
value.
like I can. But that's
So,
okay.
Rome.
As a practice
Um,
in the workflow, what we have been doing is like at the start of the workflow, we have one run script to initialize all the scratchpad variables.
Okay.
So you can do something like that as well.
Make a custom action.
So I could just set it before the for each.
Right.
Yeah.
So here I can do set flow variable,
Well, there you go.
count
0.
0 or 1 or whatever. And then here I can, if my counter, and I want to grab, which it shouldn't matter. I can grab the count is 0. Do this one. And we need to move this one up. Oh, why don't you look like you can go in?
Hit the X next to the action. It looks like it's trying to do an action there.
Ah,
Yeah.
good call. There we go. Set the flow variables based off of that. And then I'm
is way behind.
then we're going to also set the counter to anything other than 0. 1. Right? So
Sure.
set the counter to 1, and then, else. We'll set our flow variables to. Oh, and in that case, I didn't need host at the beginning or the comma.
Right.
For the previous one, I need
You just
host,
wanted the first value.
comma,
Member.
data pill, for each record, user, sys-ID.
I love that typing thing. It saves so much time when you're drilling down.
Oh man, I love the typing part of that so much. So I can X out that and X out this.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Still prefer an array and a join, but
Hey, I do too, but I could script this.
But the challenge.
But I'm trying to show off the flow variables part.
Right.
So setting the flow variables for each, yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah, I'm fine with that. So we set those, and then now we want to go update an artifact. So we want to update record.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to update our trigger record. So we'll grab it right here from our trigger. And we're going to set the host to our hosts. that should do what I want it to do, which is take an artifact that doesn't have any host set and set the host based off the group membership. That seems like it should work. Let's test
So is
it.
that field, Andrew, required host, is that a single reference? So we're just trying to get one of the members.
Nope. It's a reference list, which is why flow variable is what came in handy here.
So we're going to update that for each loop shortly, just because we've got the first one in there to sort the comma out, and then we haven't said what to do if it's great.
Yeah, we did both.
Yeah, there's
Oh, it's in the else, right? Apologies. Sorry. I think I was
No
on
problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So the second time through, we take what we had, add a comma, and then add the next one.
Amazing. It had hidden itself, which deals with some of the real estate points that I think some people were bringing up. You can collapse things.
Yeah, so I can collapse those, which is now that I'm done with this bit, hopefully because it works, I can just move on.
Another cosmetic thing over on the far left where you have the action numbers, it does some shading as you expand those a little bit. The deeper in the nest you go, the darker that. See how 4 and 5 are darker than 1, 2, and 3?
That is a little, that's not super obvious on my screen.
No, it's not. If you're like me and you get about 5 or 6 levels down, it's deep shades of black.
All right, that's handy. So let's save this. Oh, I'm sure Brad is flipping over in his grave that I haven't saved yet.
He'll unmute it.
Thank you for that, Brad. So let's test this. So we need to test this against an artifact record that doesn't have any hosts set. So let's go do that. Artifact live stream. So let's go grab one, or we'll just, in fact, empty one out. So there's none here. So we'll grab this title. We'll flip back over to Flow Designer and we'll say test.
Do we actually use the number field for anything?
No.
It's not the display value.
We don't use it for anything, Chuck.
So I fixed it today because it was broke and we don't need it.
We really don't. So run test, and we're going to run this synchronously.
The layout here feels a little different, or am I imagining things?
It is a little different. The changed fields, I think, was in Paris, but
Yep.
It's laid out a little differently and spacing wise. Like this was never as clearly like separated from the
That's
rest
what's
of
jumping out at me. It's like, this is very, it felt more like a status message that was crammed in at the last second. Like a debug. That's how most of my status messages start life, is a debug message.
Well, Brad made it in.
Okay.
Just Brad, though.
Well, let's go trace our steps.
Yeah, we'll go trace it, but we'll take a look at required host.
I'm not.
And just one got in there, but let's go take a look at why in this execution. So we looped through 3 times. So we did at least hit that. Oh,
So evaluated
true and then not run.
No, that's right. Your else doesn't need to run on the first one. Go to number 2.
Oh, that was deceptive to me. And
They
it
all
still
ran the
says
first
not
one.
run.
They all ran the first one.
Which would just replace it with the single sys-ID. So it would be the last one that was found.
Where did you set your 0? Where did you set the flow variable to 0 in the first place?
Step 2. Action 2.
Oh, the if check
You've not done a plus.
happens before I set the thing.
No, action 2 was where you set it to 0. Did you not?
So here, I don't need the execution anymore. I know what I did wrong, which was, well, no, it should be that.
I love the questioning going on. Wait
a second. This should no longer be 0.
What did action 2 do?
Because the counter is 1.
Right. And the next time through, yeah, it should no longer be 0. So where's the increment?
Why?
We set
Now,
the host,
is
but we
this-
didn't. Did we do we never incremented count? Oh, you set count.
I set it.
You set count. Okay, so the second time through, it's 1.
And so it should evaluate here as
Is it
one.
yeah. Is it a scope of variable? It got somehow count got reset back to 0.
Maybe I have to grab the data pill better than I did.
Get the data pill better than you did. What did you do wrong?
Do I have to? No, it shouldn't be.
Why is it
So I
0?
was thinking that, in other cases in Flow Designer, which is what I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
Once a thing is set, that's what it is, as far as
Right.
data pills go. So
What if instead, did we have a true false in there, I thought, for a variable type?
there is a true false,
I hate to
but
re-engineer this, but
I'm still confused why when I
counters.
evaluate counter, it's not.
Mhm.
Let's see if I just check what it is,
Do a
like
JS log.
down here.
Yeah.
It might be the scope issue kind of thing, right? That value we are updating in the for each scope, and the initial updation we did it outside the.
Added count.
I
Can
had
we
that
also
thought too.
just take a
Drew.
look at how you're incrementing it as well? Just
Well, I'm not even trying to increment it. I'm
You
just
just
trying
add
to set it to 1 after the first pass.
It's really a Boolean flag at this point.
Yeah, it's a true false.
because it
basically.
doesn't need to be as long as it's over. It's just
Yeah.
for handling the comma.
The first time and then all the others. So
Mm.
it's really just a flag at that point. Let me test this against that record again, and then we will, because I want to see what it thinks count is outside of the outside of the for each period.
Well, that FlightAware application isn't getting a whole lot of use these days, is it?
Oh, God, don't remind me, man.
That was a hard
Rough.
battle, and now it's not being used at all.
So update record count is 1.
Dirk is saying one is called count and the other check was
Count.
to counter. Do we have a mismatch on?
Did I grab the wrong variable? Because I totally could have grabbed the wrong
You
variable.
did. I think
Did I grab the number from the lookup records count
I think
instead
you-
of the
you may have.
counter?
I think you may have.
Well, it says counter. Flow variables counter.
Okay.
And then I can only choose
What about
flow
your
variables in the
Okay,
flow
that's your-
variable setter.
I thought I saw a count on that screen somewhere.
So this looks like it should be right. Because down here it's clearly 1.
Yep.
And up here the first time, this is fine. It should be 0. But the
What did we
second,
initialize?
we started it at 0.
Okay,
We
so set
initialized
flow
it at
variables only
0.
lets you, yeah, and set flow variables only lets you do flow variables.
I'm wondering if at this point, if this is not a bug,
It's smelling like a bug.
that my for each doesn't check to see what the current value of counter is on the subsequent loops. Like it grabs the data pill.
Want to try it with
What
a
you were
true
saying
false
at the
real quick?
beginning, that once you've got the data pill populated, it's like a snapshot of the.
It's a snapshot, but that's the opposite of what we want flow variables to do. So
Right.
that
That's why we
doesn't
need them.
feel good.
Snapshot doesn't really fulfill any purpose.
Because outside of the for each, it worked fine. So that would mean I'd need to like
Can we
have-
validate that by not doing a for each and just update it in several different steps and just, I don't know, what are we trying to prove?
I don't know how to prove it without a for each.
For each is the only way of looping through glide records in Flow Designer.
Yeah.
You could set up a few different checkpoints and say, all right, set it to 1 here, set it to 2 here, set it to 3 here, and just do some GS logs and make sure that it is checking. But with outside of the for each loop.
I mean, it's set. It's 1 right here. So the counter is 1 down here outside the for each.
But the if is failing? Is that what the main
The
issue
if is failing on the second and well, if it's succeeding, but not in the manner I wanted to on the second and third, because it thinks it's 0, but it's not 0 anymore because I set it to be 1.
Right.
And that is disturbing.
Go to record 2 again.
Go to record 2. Here's record 2.
Record 2. It still says 0 equals 0.
Yeah. Then counter.
And sets it to
Yeah.
1.
And it says, the left-hand side would be the count.
Losing its values on every iteration. What good is that?
Yeah. That's what that's my position is I feel like that it's not operating in the least surprise here.
You think when it on step 4, when it does that if, it's that's where it snaps.
Like it grabs it and snapshots it right then.
And can we just try to modify the condition? Like instead of using is 0, we can use is less than 1. I mean, that will clarify everything.
Well, I mean, it says it's 0 in the subsequent things.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Dhruv.
But I'll give it a shot. Is less than 1. So the other way I could think to see is if I could do like, I could fail the first pass through, like get to the else. So if I do is not 0, and then it hits the else the first time, and then
well, yeah, reverse logic, reverse psychology.
Logic.
Reverse
So
psychology
down here, set the counter to 1, and then up here unset it.
Can we actually use the counter as a counter and increment it? And then would we see if it actually goes up as well? Was that?
But in that case, I think we need to use the script thing for setting.
Yeah, I'd have to use the scripting to do that, but yes, we could try that.
That would be an interesting experiment. Actually change the value via script versus a static value.
How do you access the flow vars in scripts? Is it fd data flow vars
Yeah.
I don't remember the format, but it's the same process as any of the data pills. So fd data dot and then let it autocomplete.
Yeah, exactly. I remember trigger.
So not run, which is the that skips these, and then okay, no, it's just that didn't help. It is not adjusting.
Nope.
It's not adjusting it until it leaves and checks again. That is interesting.
And you determined what it was out at the very end. Was it 1?
Yeah, it's still 1 at the end.
Okay.
I wonder
Bizarre.
if, watch this.
Unless like Dhruv suggested, it's scoped because it's set inside of an if, and ForEach comes back and goes, "Oh, let me get you the variable you wanted."
Let's see if this does something.
Let's try this. Jace is giving you a hard time.
I'm
roll
okay
up
with
your
that.
sleeves and write some script already. Like, no, that's not the point.
I could have totally scripted this like 50 times already, but
I know.
I'm trying to use Flow Designer with the flow variables. So my thought is that my lower if has access to the counter as it has been updated, and then can see the counter check to see if it's 1 and is not run. And then, I put it in the wrong spot. Ugh, so bad. I reversed the logic. So
Oh, that's right.
Is 0.
Brad saying, "Don't worry about the comma." Can we just?
Don't worry about the comma.
Yeah, I mean, if we've got an extra comma, what's the worst that can happen? We have a
remove
blank
the last
user in the
character.
list.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll just take the first 32 characters then.
Loop in through all the members, and then as last, just at the last step, remove the last character of the string. Bad practice, but one of the ways.
So I didn't set it.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who works like this.
I'm doing bad. Why am I being bad?
It's been the last 2 weeks for me. Oh, forgot this. Oh,
Set
wrong.
the counter to 1. I really will get this test done the right way.
We're either going to get it to work or determine that it is a bug.
Yeah,
or
I'm
a variable scope.
if a loop of a for each can't adjust the counter, or adjust flow variables, then they become less useful.
But we're adjusting the variable value inside the if.
Yeah. So let's see. The first run not evaluated, and then the second run
Lee's
still.
saying set the counter after the if, but inside the for each.
Right.
So
I'm with Philip on this one.
So I set it 1,
I
and
can't
then I
take any
checked
credit.
to
Lee's
see
idea.
if it's 1, and it was 0.
Right, but you don't need to set it inside of the if. You could set it outside the if and have the same effect. After it's iterated through.
So what I'm trying to show here,
Yeah.
right now on this screen,
Yeah.
is I set the flow variable to 1, and then I check to see right after that what it is, and it said it's 0.
Oh,
Okay.
set flow variables
So
isn't
it went into the if. You
working.
changed it.
So I changed it. I hit this set flow variable, and it changed it to 1. And then right after that, immediately following that, I said, check my counter. Is that 1? And it says, no, I'm 0.
Is that
Ooh,
screenshot that? That's all you need to raise a bug, isn't it?
Yeah. This right now, it thinks flow variable counter is 0 immediately after setting it to 1.
I'm sad.
Yeah, I just took the wind out of my sails.
Womp, womp, womp. That's a little disappointing that didn't do what I wanted to do.
What's your second favorite feature in Flow Design?
Tracer, let's go do a script tracer real quick. Come on.
My second one is actually going to be next week with Flow. So it'll be Flow Designer Integration Hub, which will be that. My second favorite Flow Designer feature is an Integration Hub feature, which is where is
The REST API.
One you wrote
trigger?
about on your blog, Andrew.
Do you need a plugin turned on for this one?
do I not have, where is it? It's supposed to be right here. Well, I'll apparently make sure that I have that for next week. Which is that you can use a scripted REST API as a trigger, and it will create the scripted REST API for you right here in Flow Designer. So that's my second favorite feature, which is a Integration Hub feature. So I've already been doing that, but I have to go create the REST API, and then in the REST API, I script calling the flow, and this skips that creation and calling step and just wraps it right up into the trigger. So I'll show that next week on the show, because I'm definitely going to be using that, because we've been using that. So I'm a little flummoxed with this, But before we wrap up, why don't I just adjust this to not worry about the counter and just get them together?
Mash them together. Yep.
Let's just mash them together. So we'll kill all that and just do a set. I said go, didn't I?
Will it not? Does it take all the dependents away from it if you do that? You haven't got to take all the children first. It will just
Really?
delete the whole block. No, I don't know. It's a question.
That's weird.
You can't delete like the whole if block at once.
The else block died. Okay.
I'm not sure
No
if that's
if.
a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm not.
You've got a whole bunch of things that depend on this. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm with you, Phil. I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing. I can see it being either way there. So we're just going to do host, and we're going to say host, Flivar host, and we'll throw in an extra comma at the end because who cares? It's fine.
Walk.
And then we'll dot walk to nope. I said dot walk. Group.
Got it.
User. Society. Not the server. Oh, you.
We've all been there. That's why it's so funny.
I'll take it. You can laugh at me today. All right. Host, comma. There we go. And
My
then
kids
we'll
are grown
update
adults
this.
and they still laugh at my misfortunes.
Save. Let's see if this just works. This should work because the update artifact was working for count outside of the ForEach.
If you say it should work, you just cursed it.
Hey. I believe so much. It's right here.
There it is.
The 3 people.
A, B, C, out of order, but it works.
So it did work correctly.
Interesting. Even with a rogue comma on there. Do a show XML. I want to see if it was in there or if somehow the
no, it'll
field
truncate
validation
that.
scripts. Yeah. Okay, so it does do a little cleanup on us.
It will.
So what was the difference there? So a string you can update and it will hold on to it, and integer you can't, or is there more to this?
It is that the
flow. We were using 2 different flow variables there. One's a string, and it was able to concatenate a set of sysids, but the integer itself.
It was the fact that I was referencing it outside of the ForEach, and it's happy with that. But inside the ForEach, like checking the values of these, it was not allowing me to see the newer value of it, which is weird. What's doing the runtime value of these correctly, which actually is bothering me a bit.
Because those are getting updated.
Because these are getting updated and can be referenced.
The counter didn't.
And the counter didn't.
But
it might be string versus integer. All right, now I'm going to take an extra. We're going to go over a second because we're going to make a new variable string for counter.
Why don't we just try true false? I mean, I know you're really.
Oh, we could do true false
because technically that's how we were using it. It was just. It was
no. I'm going to delete you.
The first record or not?
And say first.
So if you didn't have flow variables and you wanted to do this, set up a list of sysids before Quebec, what was the alternative?
Scripting it.
Okay,
scripted or custom action.
Yep.
Right.
And so I've done that several times, in fact. So we want to now.
Did you do a set on it? Step 2?
I haven't yet done that. So I'm going to do a flow logic. We're going to if, and we're going to grab the first And we're going to say,
But that's not a very nice way to do it.
did I not set it to?
It says string. I swear you did true false.
I swear I did true false too.
Okay. Oh, did we hit delete? Are you sure you want to make this change? What? Cancel
and delete. Those aren't those are not the reasonable options in this scenario.
Do you want to back out or really back out? What is this?
What?
Okay, that one
right. I'm going to hit save and see if it maybe was angry or something.
This is getting really scary.
It's getting a little punchy here.
We're throwing the early access card a few too many times here.
Yeah, that is just not reasonable. Okay, well, I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to make sure I hit true false this time. Second. True false. All right.
Don't show me this
I'm
again.
done.
Click, don't show me this again.
I'm done with that. Nope, we're good.
I never want to see that dialogue again.
We're going to end on a highlight.
Please.
We're going to end on a positive note here, which is I'm going to show you that you can do. Let's do. What's a reference field assigned to?
I'm glad the chat thinks that's funny.
We are going to do assigned to.
Don't let it be said we didn't get egg on our face at least once.
If you thought this show was unscripted,
there you have it.
You're right. So the transforms that are available when I hit the FX on a data pill have been enhanced with Quebec. And so this is the last flow designer thing we'll show because we're definitely over time now. And we added some new ones. So under math, there's some new math options.
Nice.
For you to do math. There's a date and time already existed. There's some new options under string. And then somewhere in here is display.
What?
There's like a get value that's supposed to be in here.
Absolute value. Key value map. I used that today. That was really cool.
All right. Well, apparently it's early access.
We can show.
I have seen
it. Just try saving it first, Andrew. Just see if that changes it at all.
I have seen that you can get the display value versus the value for fields.
Or a reference field. That's kind of cool.
So that's in here. I don't know why it's not showing me, but
show me one more thing for success. Go down to add action or flow or logic.
Okay.
Click action.
Action.
I
like most popular and recent.
Okay. Most recent. Do we have anything in most recent? Yes, we do. No, we don't. Yes, we do.
Update record.
Took a while to update.
Right
there we are. There's a success for today.
There's success. All right. I'm going to stop the screen share. Oh, goodness. Well, it's early access. I will definitely be exploring that some, and I will update the probably a comment on here or in the description my findings for this because that was not least surprise on the flow variable there. So thank you for working through that with me. I know it was a little painful, but also early access stuff is a little buggy. Like that's part of the early testing process is finding these bugs. So patch 0 is patch 0 for a reason. And we fix a lot of defects between patch 0 and patch 1 every time. And so we find them sometimes, and you, the customer, definitely find them. So thank you for working through that with me. Let us go around the horn again on rating our drinks. But before we go, I want to remind you, if you're watching this fairly currently, The call for content for CreatorCon is open. And so Knowledge and CreatorCon, their call for speakers is open right now. If you're a customer or partner, reach out to your account executive if you'd like to, speak at Knowledge this year, and get your content submitted. And we look forward to seeing you in May at Knowledge, because that's a big time for us on the advocacy team, and we just love Knowledge, and we look forward to seeing all the cool things that you're out there building. And let us rate our beverages. How is your H2O today, Chuck?
Always a 5.
Oh, it's a 5. Yay! And how is your awesome Guinness? Oh, maybe not awesome. It could be terrible.
No, to be honest, it's one of my favourites. Or it's out of 5, isn't it? Probably 4.5.
Ooh,
Is that
4.5.
Nice.
Too high, or was that?
I mean, Guinness is a good beer, and so
Yeah.
if you like them, like 4 or 5 is good. How is your delicious water, sir?
It's less warm. I expected it to be a bit more warm, but yeah, we can say 4.5.
And now you get to go to sleep.
Not now.
No, not yet. You've stayed up too long. No, it's looping over to the other side.
Come on, tomorrow is Saturday. You should sleep at around 5 a.m., 6 a.m. on
Okay.
Sunday.
My jalapeno pale ale is brewed right here in North Carolina, where I'm at in Charlotte, the city to the south of me. It's jalapeno. It's fine. It's taking a hit though with what we had to do on the show today. So
we
it's
lost bonus points.
it lost bonus points. So it is a 3-5. Yeah. So it took a small hit. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for the interactions in the chat. We really appreciate all of you. Thank you, especially to our guests. This is both of you first time on the show. So we really appreciated you joining us. And next week, we'll be doing Integration Hub. And that is, I've already used most of those things, so that should go well. So looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.